You are live. Welcome to the Shoy Show. It is June 17th, 2026. And you see this over here? You see how I'm shaking my shoulders? That's my dance move when I'm sitting in a chair because that's all I can do. Come to think about it, when you're on an airplane for many hours, what do you do if you can't get up? You got to move your legs somehow. You got to shake around. Are the people on the left and right of you going to appreciate that? Probably not. But I'm doing what's healthy for my body. I don't have a choice. Of course you have a choice. You always have a choice in life. That's what they say. Well, what if I don't have a choice? What if I'm stuck in a plane for 10 hours sitting in an economy seat? Ha ha ha, joke's on you, poor boy. You need more money. You need to fly first class. Well, you know what? First class tickets are $10,000 and I don't have that money. So I have to pay a measly $1,000 for my ticket. Now, this has nothing to do with this topic, but guess what? If I'm sitting on a plane, I'm going to get up and I'm going to shake my tail feather. Because I got to move. I got to, on my watch, I got to stand every hour. I got to get a certain number of steps in. What do you want me to do? You want me to die on this plane? Why? Because I'm flying coach? I'm flying economy? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, welcome to the Shoy Show. Sweden's good behavior immigration law. What? I thought I was supposed to be on my bad behavior, on my worst behavior. Isn't there a song? There's a song I used to listen to a lot because that's what I do. See, here's the thing. Music's probably the most famous thing. It's probably the most exciting thing in the world that we can all agree on. It's just music, right? Everybody loves music, right? It's probably the one common ground that we have. Anyway, I don't really listen to lyrics unless you tell me like, yo, you got to listen to these lyrics, or did you hear what they said? No, I need a beat. Okay, I need a beat. I don't care about lyrics unless the lyrics are like, really interesting. I just can't. I need a beat. And I know the overwhelming majority of people, including my friends and my family, they all listen to the lyrics. They're very interested in lyrics in songs. I don't listen to them. I don't care, and I don't even know what they're saying. So, if I'm ever listening to a song, it's kind of like shirts. When people like have stuff on their shirts, like, do you ever guess, like, does that person actually know what's on their shirt? Because do you know why I buy shirts? Because I like the way they look. I don't give a shit what they say. People trying to make political statements, trying to say stuff on it. I like that. And I assume that when someone wears something on their shirt, they care about that message. Me personally, I just want the shirt to look nice. Just like I want my music to sound nice. I want my music to sound good. I don't give a shit about the lyrics. You could be talking about anything, slinging this, doing that, wing, 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 auto-tune. I don't care. As long as it sounds good. I don't give a shit about your lyrics. Now, there was once a song, I'm sure I could find it, on my worst behavior. I'm sure somebody's going to know. On my bad behavior, on my worst behavior. It's a girl. She sings a song. And I used to get down to it. But what I do with music in my life is I take a song that I like and I play it until infinity, until it drowns all the noise out. And then I want to stomp it out of my life because that's how extreme I am. So take, for instance, this song. You may not remember it. Maybe you do. You remember this song over here? Yeah. I'm going to pull it up right now. You remember this song? Oh, shit, throwback. And my friends know this. You remember this song right here? Craig David? Oh, yeah, I knew the lyrics to this song because it's one of the few songs in my life, like The Way I Am, Eminem, and Craig David, 7 Days. Do you remember this song? Because I knew this song front to back. On my way, seeing my friends who live a couple blocks down the street now. Because that's what I did, okay? You got a problem with me? You got a problem with Craig David? Come on, live your life. You got shit to do. You can't have a problem with me and Craig David. You're too busy. But this is one of the few songs that I knew. But guess what? It was also because I like the beat and the melody. Okay, it needs to be melodic. I don't give a shit about what you're saying in your lyrics. Sometimes I'm like, what they saying? And then I stop listening. But for the most part, I don't care. Okay, I just need a good beat. And all I remember is on this topic, coming back to this topic, which we didn't even start yet. But yeah, there's a song that I know that I like. I just can't really remember it. All my bad behavior, all my worst behavior. Oh, baby, I want to put you on my worst behavior. Something like that. Anyway, look, I got my coffee with my creamer. And if you're mad at me right now, you know what I'm going to do? I feel bad. I don't want somebody to be upset with me. But if you're upset with me, I'm just going to sip on my coffee with creamer, which is super milky right now because I put a lot of creamer in this. And then everything's better. You get what I'm saying? You get mad at me. All I got to do is drink my coffee with my creamer. And then nobody's mad anymore. I mean, you might be upset, but I'm not mad. All right, let's get into the first topic. Sweden's good behavior immigration law. What? Sweden just passed a law that gets right to one of the biggest immigration questions in the world. Okay? The biggest in the world. Should you be allowed to stay in a country just because you got legal residency once, or does staying come with ongoing conditions? Oh, shit. Oh, yeah. And I'm reading some comments over here, right? I actually pulled up a couple threads. Next, we could immigrate the people who chew with their mouths open. Yeah, get them out of here. You chew with your mouth open, get out of here. We're going to rescind your green card. I'm okay with that one, all right? And listen to music on the loudspeaker in public? What? You got a speaker in public playing some stupid-ass song that I don't know the lyrics to? Get it out of here. Next, we carry out a nationwide ban on jeans. Okay, let's go. Hey, I'm just reading the comments. This one comes from Mama Bear. Who decides what is good behavior and what is not? Very interesting. What is good etiquette, right? If you're, eating on a train, is that good? Is that bad behavior? What, are we going to throw you out of the country for that? If you protest against something your government endorses, is that bad behavior? Very good question, because last time I checked, you can't even protest in this world anymore. You can protest? What? You can't protest anymore. You know how dangerous it is to protest? Look what happens in Russia. Look what happens in China. You know what they just did for the Tiananmen Square anniversary? They warned all of the families that had children that died. They warned them not to mourn and not to go to their graves on the cemetery of Tiananmen Square. It was like a 36-year anniversary or something. You got to be kidding me. You can't protest in this world anymore, even if you do it with a mask. They have facial recognition. They can track you on your phone. This show is dangerous. I know it's dangerous. Just because I'm, just giving my opinion. I'm speaking freely. And it's one of the greatest things about our country is that we have freedom of speech. But guess what? Do I feel like I have freedom of speech? No, not necessarily. I get censored on many of the topics that we broach. It doesn't feel good. It's not like I cry and go into a corner, but it doesn't feel good to know that if I speak about a particular topic, that I'm being censored. How do you think protesters actually feel? So how else can we get our voice out when it comes to opposition? Or should we just be lame ducks? Am I just supposed to sit here and accept whatever the government tells me? Or do I actually have freedom of speech? When exactly should I speak out and not speak out? Because in some cases, it's okay, right? If I stop a child from being abducted in the street and I yell out and call for help and I beat the guy up, I'm going to be considered a hero. But if I see that government funds are being misappropriated and I tell the story online, I may be censored, if not hurt in a variety of other ways. Lest we forget, our government is extremely powerful. If they wanted me to disappear, they could do so like that. Immediately, overnight. They could kidnap me. No one would ever hear from me again. What do you think? People are going to track my cell phone? Who runs the show? The people with the power and the money. That's who. I don't care if you want to call it Illuminati. I don't care if you want to call it some underworld syndicate. You want to call it the Matrix, whatever it is. There are people in charge on this earth. And they are the ones that call the shots. The people trying to hold them accountable or trying to keep record of what's happening. That's what I think this news show is. Keeping a tally. These are the checks and balances. If they don't like what you're saying, they will do away with you. I am as expendable as any other. And actually, most voices or most people in power would like to see the voices of opposition go away. That's what Putin does with his opposition, right? He kills them. But I'm just trying to stay like at face value here. Sweden is saying that if you do not measure up to their etiquette, if you do not keep with good behavior, you're going to be thrown out of the country. You are a misbehaving immigrant. What counts as misbehavior? People are asking for this to be implemented in Canada online and all around the world. It's certainly anti-immigrant. We don't like immigrants. We don't want them here. Should you be allowed to stay in a country just because you got legal residency once? Or does staying come with ongoing conditions? So under this new Swedish law, immigration authorities can revoke residency permits for what the government calls bad behavior. That can include unpaid debts, undeclared work, tax evasion, failure to follow decisions from authorities, security threats, or links to extremist groups. And this does not only apply to future applicants, it can apply to some people who already have residency permits. So this story is much bigger than Sweden because now they are setting a global precedent. And it is a developed nation. Of course, one side is going to say, hold on, if you move to another country, receive legal status, use public services, work in the economy and pay taxes, you build a life there, then the minimum expectation is that you follow the rules of that society. You assimilate to that culture somehow. Now, of course, that won't sound crazy to a lot of people, but the other side is going to say, okay, define good behavior. What exactly does that mean? Because if the standard is vague, now you have a government deciding who is good enough to stay. And that can get dangerous real fast. Or is the government just creating an excuse here? An excuse to deport or rescind anyone's residency status if they don't, quote unquote, fit the bill. Now, of course, we're going to take a whole bunch of extreme examples here, right? People are going to say, oh, the people that stab with machetes, they get to stay. But if you tell someone that they're an immigrant and they have to leave the country, you have to leave. First of all, this is only applying to immigrants. But personally, I don't see a difference between an immigrant and a regular citizen. What is the difference exactly? I mean, the commonality is that they're both human beings. I don't understand the difference. It's just lines. You were only born where you were born by chance. You were only given your circumstance, fortunate or not, by chance. You couldn't possibly be controlled being born on some side of a mountain in Honduras. In which your circumstance would have probably been meager. And I'm trying to guess, what would you have to say then? Would you be wanting to come to another country like the United States for better opportunity? What if no one let you? What if the process was so arduous that and so expensive that you couldn't possibly get here? So then what? I guess you just have to live on that mountainside. You don't have a choice. I'm speaking about the compassionate side of things here. I like how once the immigration argument unfolds, all of a sudden, we're ready to throw everything by the wayside, the humanity side of things, because of course words matter, and we say, get them the hell out of here. How many times have you heard people, including our president, we don't want the criminals, we don't want the rapists, get these Mexicans out of here, throw them back over the border, they don't belong. It's extremely callous. And I'm sorry, what exactly did those people do to not be able to live here? The overwhelming majority, our own statistics, the United States' own databases can prove that immigrants do not commit more crimes than regular citizens, proportionally. So I just think this is some loophole. The Swedish government is saying, hey, let's put this in our constitution. Let's create a law here so that just in case someone is acting out, we have means to deport them. We have means to get rid of them. That's this nationalist mentality, as if a Swedish life is more valuable than any other that was born in a different part of the world. Is that what we're saying? It is effectively what we're saying, no? Hey, we allowed you to live in Sweden. We allowed you to live in the United States. You're breaking our laws. Now you have to leave. But what exactly are breaking the laws? I agree, it's a privilege to be able to live in another country, but should it be? That's what I'm asking. Forget about this stupid law that they're passing, because face value, it sounds stupid to me. I understand the logic here. I didn't wake up yesterday. I understand how this world works. We're trying to demean any group outside of our own. Do I agree with it? Hell no. So if you don't assimilate, you have to leave the country. Let's take the idea of the burqa swimsuits, right? The burkini in France. So Muslims that have immigrated to France, and by the way, it's so complicated here because you look at a country like France, and they colonized so many Muslim countries. Now, when those Muslims want to actually go to France, they either disallow them, they prevent them, or they minimize the quota that they allow, right? And then when people in burkinis, and we'll make this a topic as well, but when people in these swimsuit burkinis, when they, try to go to the beach in one of these, what do the French say? One of the most liberal, sexually liberal nations in the world, if not the most. What do the French say? Well, some extremist French will say, what is she doing? That's not what we do. We wear swimsuits here. We don't wear burkinis. What is that? It sounds like a martini. It sounds like a drink, not a swimsuit. Actually, that swimsuit looks pretty cool if I'm being honest. And it actually protects you from the sun. But we'll leave this as another topic for another day. This is how we chastise and segregate and stereotype. This is how we hone in and target a particular group. And then everybody starts jumping on it and say, yeah, they're not assimilating. They don't want to be here. Why are they breaking our laws? Guess what? I'm an American citizen. I break a lot of laws. I'm sorry, you don't break laws? I'm sorry, are you not a sinner? You don't break laws? You're going to tell me as an American, you do not break laws? I'm sorry, have you ever gone over the speed limit? Have you ever driven without your seatbelt? I'm talking about real innocuous shit here. Not a big deal. But have you? Have you broken the law? Are we going to penalize people? Someone that is paying taxes in an economy, tried their hardest to come to another country, and because they were given the privilege, see, I see the logic here. I think the stronger argument is actually the anti-immigration one. It makes total sense. Let's review that again, which is you came into this country. We gave you the ability to live in this country, right? And now you're breaking our laws. You didn't pay your taxes. You were speeding. You got caught drinking and driving, whatever it is. You know what? We're going to deport you. I know you have your residency status. I know you paid thousands of dollars. I know you waited years for the process. But we have this good behavior law. And if you don't fit the bill, we're just going to can your ass. We don't care about you. Is that fair? What if the person that was accidentally born in that nation, the American that was accidentally born in the United States, he breaks the law. He doesn't get deported. He just goes to jail. Or nothing happens to him. Right? Something like as innocuous as going 5 to 10 miles per hour over the speed limit. Are you going to deport someone and then the other person just gets their hand slapped? So do I have the privilege as an American? I'm not trying to be extreme here. And I'm not trying to be, far-fetched with the idea or hypothetical. I mean, what constitutes good behavior? Is the government just putting this language into their laws to be able to deport anyone anytime they want? Now, if someone commits a serious crime, there's a criminal process. There is evidence, there's a sentence, there's a court record. What about debt? What kind of debt? Medical debt, business debt? What if it's a mistake with taxes? Or a paperwork issue? It happens all the time. What about unpaid bills? Are you going to say that this person is establishing a pattern and therefore they have crossed the line, so now we deport them? I mean, this law at face value is so damn generic. It makes it look like Sweden is taking a page out of Trump's playbook, this nationalist playbook that says, listen, we are not going to give any more leeway to anyone that enters our nation because we want tighter security controls, not only on our own people, but anyone immigrating here. Because Sweden is not just saying if you commit a violent crime, we may deport you. A lot of countries already do that. Sweden is moving toward a broader idea. Residency is not just about whether you are physically present or employed, it's also about whether the state believes you are living in an orderly way. What does that mean? Sweden has actually been moving in this direction for a while. The country also tightened citizenship rules. As of June 2026, the general residency requirement for citizenship increased from 5 years to 8 years. And they actually have this written in their laws. They have new requirements around self-sufficiency, knowledge of Swedish language and society, and living an orderly life. These people are just looking for a better life. Do they have to be upstanding citizens? I'm sorry, can you look in the mirror and say, I am an upstanding citizen? We have to define that, don't we? I don't have so much a problem with the law as I do the specificities of it. I mean, again, what constitutes good behavior? And these laws are not coming out of nowhere. Again, this is this nationalist, super nationalist movement. Sweden historically had a reputation for being one of the most open, generous countries in Europe. It took in large numbers of migrants during the 2015 refugee crisis. In 2015, it took in 160,000 asylum seekers. By 2024, that number had dropped to around 10,000. But now the political message is clear. Sweden is saying we are no longer just asking who gets in. We are asking who gets to stay. Why not just vet them? See the process through. After that, once they're citizens, they're citizens. Treat them like a citizen. You're now saying that someone that just wasn't born within your borders can get residency like a citizen, have to pay taxes, able to vote, all of that. Yet there's still this overhang, there's still this caveat that sits on their profiles. As if they're the ugly duckling. So do they have full rights as a citizen of that nation if they go through the process? Or will they always be second rate to their current countrymen? The human question, of course, is what if someone came to Sweden as a kid? What if Sweden is the only real home that they know? What then? They speak Swedish, they went to Swedish schools, they work there, but they're still not citizens yet. Should the government be able to say, you failed the behavior standard, so your life here is over? I mean, that is audacious. And again, to all the Swedes, to all the Americans, to anyone that is for this policy, look in the mirror. You are lucky. If you think, hey, I'm lucky to be American, or I'm lucky to be Egyptian, or I'm lucky to be Swedish, I'm lucky to be Spanish, whatever it is, I'm lucky to be where I'm from. It's only chance that got you there. It's only that mommy and daddy had sex in that nation. They could have easily gone on a plane, went somewhere else, had sex over there, and had you over there. You would not be a citizen. Or you would not be born and from there. And again, what are all these people striving for, hoping for? Just a better life. You're creating one stupid law over here for edge cases. Or is it something bigger? Because we already know that 99% of everyone out there, all human beings, are good people. Else we wouldn't take any immigrants in. But this is not a small thing, because residency is not just a document. It is your job. It is your apartment. It is your children's school, your healthcare, your relationships, your entire life's structure. That's what residency is. You moved somewhere. You uprooted your entire life. And again, you're going to come right back and you're going to say something like, well, then don't break the law. Again, I ask you, do you break the law? Hell yeah, you do. I've said this many times before. I believe almost every human being on earth deserves at least 5 DWIs. Do not sit there and say that you're innocent. We all break the laws. Oh, well, I was born here, so I get to break more laws than that guy over there because he was born over there with less fortunate circumstances. Does that make any sense to you? I mean, is citizenship actually supposed to mean something? A lot of people say that it does. If there is no difference between a citizen, a permanent resident, a temporary resident, and someone waiting for a permit, then what is the legal meaning of each category? A country does have the right to set conditions for immigration. Every country does it. The United States is no different. Canada, Australia, Sweden, Brazil, they all do it. The real fight is over where the line should be. Good behavior? What is it about? Violent crimes, fraud, unpaid taxes, extremist ties? We've deported plenty of people that we said had extremist ties in the United States, and maybe they did. I would think that that is grounds for expulsion. Should it include behavior that is not criminal but shows disregard for the society? I mean, I can imagine someone out there on the street that's just spitting a lot. I'm not even joking here. I'm not trying to exaggerate. Someone that's just spitting a lot. And then some Karen calls the police and says, hey, look at this person. He looks like an immigrant. He's not from here. Look at him spitting all over the floor. He keeps spitting. He spits every 2 minutes. Well, how do you know that, Karen? Well, I've been following him. And look, I took a video of him too. This guy's spitting all over the floor. Tell him to go spit in his own country. And this is Sweden. And we have this good behavior law. You're right, ma'am. You're very right. So let's deport his ass. Have him go spit back in his own country, his own place. I mean, we're drawing some hard lines here. So what do you say then? Is it unpaid debts? Is that the same thing as terrorism? Because it could be classified as bad behavior, which would warrant you getting deported. Is a tax issue the same as violent assault? And here's the thing. I agree. I don't like categorizing, Republicans, Democrats, but I will hear, what did Republicans say, specifically Trump? I'm not going to deport any of the good immigrants, 99.9% of them. That didn't happen. They lied to us because it is a slippery slope argument. They ended up deporting whoever, whenever, however. They were deporting people to Africa. Because once you give someone the permit, they essentially think they have the license to kill, especially with this US government. So I'm not comfortable, giving them an inch here because at this point, I do expect them to take the mile. And Republicans will say, no, it's not a slippery slope. Oh, yeah? So why don't we have universal background checks for all private gun sales? We don't. Why is that? That makes sense to virtually everyone because it's another obstacle to get a gun. We have it on all sales that are made in retail shops or through licensed gun dealers, but we don't have it on private arms sales. So you create a loophole, which everybody will use and does use. Oh, no, no, no. But then if we put that law into place, it's a slippery slope. Eventually, they'll come for our guns. Well, isn't this a slippery slope argument here as well? Doesn't this apply, is what I'm saying? A security threat is not the same as missing a payment on a credit card. But if we categorize it as such, if we put that terminology into our laws, guess what? It is going to give our government carte blanche. Full speed ahead, deport him, let him go. It doesn't matter. How broad is this category of bad behavior? They are not defining it. And the retroactive part is huge, because if someone got residency under one set of rules and then years later the government changes the rules, should those new standards apply to them? Supporters should say yes, because residency is conditional. You are lucky to be here. It is a privilege. If you are not a citizen, the state can keep reviewing whether you qualify. I mean, damn. Come on, y'all. This is a short life. Do you just want to be segregated? So what? You don't like the World Cup? You don't. Why do you even like the World Cup? We play other teams. It sounds as if these policies that we create in the world, it sounds as if everybody just wants to be isolated and segregated. Is that what you want? You don't want anything else? Okay, so if you want to be Swedish and live in Sweden, live in Sweden. That's it. Don't listen to anyone else's music. Don't eat anyone else's food. Don't watch anybody else's videos or content. Stay in your little world. That's not what everybody wants. It's the same thing with the rich. The rich get so rich that they forget about the poor. Yet when they go out there and they go to parties and events, guess who they see? They see the poor, and they want to be around them because that's where the action is. That's where the fun is, right? The happiness, the experience. Well, guess what? You can't do that without people. So do people actually want to be isolated? No, it is a fallacy. It is a paradox, is it not? If you are okay with creating rules like this that say, oh yeah, well, you know what? If you mess up a little, you got to get the hell out of our country. I mean, yes, is it allowed? Can the world work that way? Sure. But I think truly, deep down, you do not want that. You don't. I think people, it's very easy not to sway people, but to get people to jump on one of these ideas. Hey, there was some immigrant and he was attacking someone. Get him out of here. We got to create new laws. Anyone that's acting up again, you're lucky to be here. Anyone that acts up again, we can get them the hell out of the country. So should someone's lives be upended based on new rules, a new set of rules that came into play? Let's say the laws changed after they got residency. If the government starts moving goalposts, then legal residency starts to feel unstable. Integration, if you actually want immigration, integration requires trust. If immigrants feel like their status can be pulled for vague reasons, they may become more fearful, less likely to report problems, less likely to interact with the government, and less confident about building a future. So are you being oppressive by putting these types of laws into place? It's essentially putting a new burden on everyone's shoulders. And again, the counter argument immediately is going to be, well, then don't break the laws. Everybody breaks laws. When you stop breaking laws, then you can tell others to stop breaking the law. Well, I was born here, so, he's an immigrant. He can't break the same laws as I can break because I was born here, luckily, out of chance. Is that your argument? It's futile. It doesn't. What weight does that hold? You had no idea how you were born and where you were going to be born. I'm an upstanding citizen. I don't break no laws. Of course, the public trust side of things, that matters too, because if citizens feel like the immigration system has no standards, no enforcement, no consequences, they lose faith in the system. And once people lose faith, politics gets even harsher. That's what Sweden is dealing with right now, right? This is not just a legal debate. This is a social contract debate. How are we going to treat immigrants, or how are we going to allow them to coexist with us based on the permission, the privilege that we give them, if you so do believe that we are giving them a privilege? I mean, what are we effectively saying? We're just saying, hey, you were born between these lines over here, and now you can live in these lines over here. Again, I think it's preposterous, but I understand that's the way the world works. When a country lets someone in, what does the country owe that person? Oh, nothing. You're saying that the person owes the country? Okay, that's fair. It's fair. I mean, I don't agree with it, but it's fair. I can see where you're coming from. When a person accepts residency in that country, what does that person owe back? Yes, to follow the rules. Now, if the answer is nothing, people will reject that, especially citizens. Citizens will say, what? They don't owe us anything? No, they have to be good citizens. Again, I understand that. But if the answer is whatever the government decides counts as good behavior, people should be nervous about that too, because the cleanest version of this law should be very specific. It should be about serious crimes, proven fraud, tax evasion, undeclared work, maybe national security threats. The dangerous version of a law like this is that it is vague. It can be manipulated. It can be taken advantage of. And that's what I think the government wants. What is bad behavior? What is poor conduct? What if I'm drunk out in public? Oh, well, that's against the law. Well, because I'm an immigrant, I now have to get deported. I have no right to live here. Is that what you're saying, Sweden? Is that what you're saying, rest of the world? Is that what you're saying, rest of the world? We need clear definitions. Vanessa, Lucy's outside. Go get her fast. Go get Lucy outside real quick. I think she left. And that's why this story matters outside Sweden, because every Western country is wrestling with the same question. How generous can an immigration system be if the public thinks it is being abused? And how strict can an immigration system become before it stops being fair? Sweden is now testing that line. If we accuse you of bad behavior, you will not be able to live here. And I do expect other nations to follow suit. Many people say it should have been like this from the start. It's common sense. They want to live here, right? They better assimilate. We're passing laws to protect convicted foreign murderers and pedophiles from being deported. We should include the left-wing media and also clean up this cesspool that was created by them in the first place. Why do we let anyone foreign-born be in our government? That sounds wrong to me. And I think a lot of people like these laws. I mean, some of the comments you read online. Soon the blood-sucking parasites will be out of Europe. Get them out of here. They like that these laws are being created because they're building a foundation here. To say we have laws like this to not only be able to throw people out of the country when we want to, but then it creates this bedrock and this suspicion to say, you know what? We don't want to let any more people in this country anyway. What do you get when you actually accept immigrants? To me, it's a net benefit to your society, to your country. But this whole alienation aspect, this racist aspect of society, it is a very dark, cold world to live in. And I think it's a really lonely one as well. You want to be isolated? You want to live on an island? That's totally fine. I personally like immigrants. I want as much immigration as we possibly can get. One sec. I'll be right back. One sec. Where'd she go? You called her? You should have called her. Okay. All right, next topic. What? We're about to get into it over here. Because we ain't playing no games. I ain't playing no games, boy. Imagine I talked like that. Imagine I talked like I was on auto-tune. Ain't playing no games. All right. Oh, we're going to get into it right now. Oh, yes, we are. You ready for this one? Oh, yes, we are. Major League Baseball warns Giants players over Bible verses on Pride Night. What? Oh, shit. You see their hats? Yeah. 3 San Francisco Giants pitchers are being warned by Major League Baseball after writing Bible verse references on their Pride nightcaps. What? Now, let's get into this. Because I was born Christian, and I still am Christian, and I absolutely love God, and He is the greatest thing in the world, and there's nothing that I would want more than loving God and having a relationship with God. And I believe everybody has a right to their own beliefs and religion. You can believe whatever you want. You can follow whatever you want, so long as you do so in good faith and with good morals. You don't get in anyone's way, totally fine. Now, MLB is an employer. You're working for the employer. And the employer says, hey, you have to wear this stuff for Pride Night. You have to wear this rainbow gear. What do you say about that? Well, you don't have to work for the employer. Oh man, we're going to get into this topic, baby. We are going to get into this topic. Let me give you a couple more things. Number one, I have many gay friends. I've had many gay friends over the years. I love them dearly. I think they're amazing people. I'm not one of those Christians that's going to say, yeah, they're going to hell, this, that. I don't know what's going to happen to us when we die. All I care about is if you are a good person. I got two neighbors, extremely kind people, extremely kind. They're gay. I got no problem with them. I don't have a problem with you unless you're a bad person. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. And for the most part, I don't think the youth really give a shit about one's sexual orientation. I think once we grow older and then we start creating our own divides, then we start caring. We start caring about your skin color. We start caring about who you have sex with, right? That only happens when you get older. Then you start drawing the lines. Now, Major League Baseball says this was not about Christianity itself. Of course they would say that. The league says players are not allowed to write personal messages on their uniforms during games. According to MLB, the violation was modifying the uniform, not the religious content of the verses. The players involved were Landon Roop, JT Brubaker, and Ryan Walker. They wrote references to Genesis 9 on their caps during the Giants' Pride Night event. Another pitcher reportedly chose not to wear the Pride-themed cap and instead wore a standard Giants cap. Now, on paper, this looks like a simple uniform policy story. In reality, that's not why people are talking about it. What do you think about this topic? Because public opinion matters more so than anything, in my opinion. I mean, they are wearing caps that they don't want to wear. Should they be able to refuse? Why is Major League Baseball pushing something like this on them? Forcing players to accept something they do not believe in is wrong. None of this has anything to do with the sports in general and should not be part of any league. Celebrate it on your own. Don't force teams to participate. But we got to get into some other things here, right? Because you got Father's Day, you got Mother's Day. I'll read another comment here. God hates pride. There is no pride in sinning. It's like saying I have pride in lying or stealing or going to bed with 100 women. God loves us all, but not our sin. Some people love their sin and hate God. God still loves you. Repent. Oh yeah, this topic is as polarizing as it gets. Another topic, stop forcing your beliefs on these players. MLB. If they want to write Bible verses, big deal. If you try to punish them, it will open up a huge can of worms. We do still have freedom of speech in this country, at least for now. People are calling for boycotts. Some people are saying, well, if being gay is okay, is being Christian not? I mean, I personally don't have a problem here, but I know what their uniform policy is. You can't alter it in any way, shape, or form, and they will fine you for it. Now, they didn't fine them in this case, but I've seen them do so in the NFL, in hockey, for small things. Wearing the wrong eye paint, writing a message on your shoes or on your jersey. It's because there's money involved, and they don't want to upset anyone, and it's a slippery slope. If you allow one player to do it, more players will start doing it, and they'll start pushing the envelope. That's why they want to thwart this as soon as they see it. Was anyone harmed by writing on these caps? It's really not a big deal. Are they making a statement? Yes, they are. You're making them wear something that's LGBTQ. Clearly, they feel that this is wrong or that they should speak out against it. And since they probably would get hurt in the media, either financially or reputation wise, if they did so, instead, what they chose to do was writing a message, a Bible verse on their caps. Now, are you going to welcome opinions that disagree? Because you can't say everyone is welcome on Pride Night and entitled to their beliefs and then chastise one side's beliefs. This is why a lot of people, I think, do disagree with the movement, because what many will say is that this is not inclusion. It's about forcing you to participate in something even if you don't agree. I think that's a fair opinion. Many are supporting what they did. They're being true to themselves and to their God. And I think Major League Baseball knows that if they single them out or ostracize them, oh yeah, I think many people would boycott the MLB, because you can't get real testy with religion and God. And everything always comes back down to money. Nobody gives a shit about any of this. You think the MLB really cares? I mean, I'm not saying that people that run Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred or anyone else, I'm not saying that they don't believe in God. I'm just saying ultimately they care about the bottom line. They're going to say that, hey, this is against company policy. You just can't put a Bible verse. You can't alter the uniform. But the way I see it is that they don't want to upset the LGBTQ community because they see dollars over there. And they don't want to upset anyone on this side because they see dollars over here. The Christians, the Catholics, everybody that's devout. Now, they could have just chosen to wear a standard Giants cap. They didn't have to wear the LGBTQ colors. The reason this became national news is because it touches on a much bigger question. What should employees be required to publicly support while they're at work? What if you were at your job and they told you that you had to wear an LGBTQ pin? Oh, I think that would piss a lot of people off. Oh, a lot of people. I work in IT. I mean, if I was working in my job in corporate, I'm working remote now, but if I was in corporate and they told me I had to wear that, I would think, personally, I wouldn't care. I mean, I would be like, why are you making me wear anything? It could say Obama, it could say Trump, it could say Democrat, Republican, anything. I'll be like, why are you making me wear a pin? Kind of stupid to me. But I know a whole bunch of my coworkers would not agree with this. I think they would be up in arms about it. And I think most people would agree. Now, sports leagues, they do theme nights all the time. They do Pride Night. They do Mother's Day, military appreciation events, breast cancer awareness, heritage celebrations. Most fans don't think twice about these events because they're designed to recognize different groups and make people feel welcome. The challenge comes when an individual player doesn't personally agree with part of the message being promoted. Look at what we did with Colin Kaepernick. We completely ostracized him and outcast him from the league, the NFL, of course, when he decided to kneel during the national anthem. Why are we punishing him for disagreeing? Is he disrespecting our flag? No, I don't think he was disrespecting our flag. I think Colin Kaepernick was doing what he thought was right. He thought that black people and minorities were marginalized, and he took a stand for it. If anything, we should be acknowledging him and opening up the conversation. For what we think should happen when someone disagrees on such a topic. Why can't we have a conversation? This is the United States of America. Everyone always quotes freedom of speech, including myself. Are we going to lambast and cast hate on others that disagree with us? Because that's not freedom of speech. And that's certainly not the way you should conduct yourself with discourse. If you truly want to be progressive, if you truly want to hear your fellow man, the first thing that you would do is listen. Most of us do not. Most of us have an opinion, which is fair, but we drown out any type of argument because most of us don't want to hear it. That's just the reality of the matter. We don't care when we see something about breast cancer awareness because many people have to face breast cancer, or a Mother's Day event. But what if someone disagrees? What if someone hated their mother and didn't want to wear the uniform? You wouldn't think twice. You wouldn't say, all right, this person, maybe we would ostracize that person. I'm not sure. What, this person doesn't like mothers? You don't know what this man went through. Is he not assimilating? Therefore, we should throw him out of the league and not give him an opportunity to work? Now, many will say, Shoy, you got this all wrong. This is an employer and they can do anything they want. They could tell the person to wear whatever. They could tell the person to act however we wish, right? You can set certain standards for etiquette as an employer. Some people look at this situation and say, it's simple. You're employed by the team. Put on the uniform, play baseball, and do your job. Nobody is forcing you to change your personal beliefs. But are they? They're making me wear something that I don't believe in. They're making me put something on my body and represent it as if I support it, and I do not. The argument there, of course, is that wearing the symbol itself is a form of participation. If someone sincerely believes a message conflicts with their religious views, they don't think that person should be forced to publicly display it. I can agree with that. But that's where the conversation gets interesting, doesn't it? Because once you establish the principle that players should be required to wear one message, where does that stop? It's Pride Night today. Next month, it's a military appreciation event. What about the people that don't agree with the military? They don't agree with how we use our military, how we conduct our foreign policy by force, this big stick diplomacy, if you will. What if they don't agree with certain charity campaigns? I don't know. Let's stop being hypothetical here. What if Major League Baseball had some charity campaign for Israel? Oh, now we're talking, baby. Oh yeah, now we're talking. But this is a real example. How many people do you think would actually support that? I think a lot of people would only support it because they would feel scared of being fired. They would feel coerced into doing so just to protect their jobs. Is that how you want people to act? Out of fear? It could be any type of cause. But if someone doesn't agree with it, one of the players or employees, that is, how exactly are you going to penalize them? Should you penalize them? Everything seems straightforward when it's one you support. The difficult situations are always the ones where people disagree. And you're not always going to get 100% backing from your team, from your employees. This isn't just a baseball problem. Companies deal with this all the time. Schools deal with this. What uniforms should be allowed? What should children be allowed to say and not say? Government agencies deal with this all the time as well. What should I be allowed to put on my social media or support outside of work? Many of us have to sign NDAs. Can an organization promote values it believes are important while still making room for employees who disagree? Or are you saying that this is some type of dictatorship, and if you don't agree, you just can't work here? Most people support both ideas until those ideas collide. At the same time, it's important to understand why these events even exist. Pride Night wasn't created randomly. Teams do these events because different communities buy tickets, support the league, and want to feel welcomed by the organization. The same thing happens with military appreciation nights, heritage celebrations, breast cancer awareness campaigns. There are countless events throughout the year that occur, especially in baseball. What if you don't like the idea of Native Americans? I don't know, for whatever reason. They have Native Americans, they have indigenous peoples events all over, all the time. What if you disagree with that? There's either full on inclusion or there's no inclusion. And to me, I understand that they can't alter their uniforms, but A, they shouldn't be silenced. B, they shouldn't be censured. I mean, we can all show up with respect and tolerance for one another, yet be able to disagree. That is the mark of a truly great nation, in my opinion. Let's have the conversation. What do you think is best for society? What is your disposition? What is mine? And let's go from there. But to say that someone is unequivocally wrong, that's what we essentially say when we throw out ideas like this, right? When we say, get the gays out of here. LGBTQ, that has no place in baseball. Get them out of here. It shouldn't even exist. And if you do believe in God, I don't think our God, our God as in the majority, what the majority believe in, a beautiful being, an omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient being. What I learned about God is that God is love. So I don't think God wants us, no matter what you read in scripture, Bible, Quran, or otherwise, the Torah, I do not believe that God would want us to hurt one another. No matter what sins we commit, we all commit many sins. Let him be the judge. Let us try to live our best lives here. Our highest moral way of living. The goal of these events is outreach and inclusion. Hey, you are welcome here. Do you know how marginalized the LGBTQ community is already? These people are looked at as second-rate citizens, lesser than human beings. They are usually faced with evil looks, complete disapproval. And if you ask them, hey, do you feel safe where you live? I don't even care if it's New York City. Most LGBTQ people will say that they don't. That's a byproduct of the way we treat them. Do you want anybody to be treated or feel unsafe in your own community? I don't. I don't care what you are, who you're doing, as long as you are a good person, I don't want you to feel unsafe. So now you have two values running into each other. A league that wants to send a message that certain groups are welcome, all groups really are welcome, and a player that wants to maintain the freedom to live according to his beliefs. Neither of those ideas is crazy. Neither of those ideas are new. The hard part is deciding what happens when they overlap. Then there's MLB's actual rule. The league says players can't write personal messages on their uniforms. Fair enough. If that's the rule, that's the rule. You can't debate it. You just can't work for them if you choose to do so. But people are always going to ask whether that standard is being applied consistently. If Bible verses aren't allowed, then political slogans shouldn't be allowed either. If political slogans aren't allowed, then social slogans shouldn't be allowed. And if personal messages aren't allowed, then the rules should apply the same way whether the message is religious, political, cultural, or otherwise. Most people can live with the rules they don't like. Most people can live with rules that they don't like. What frustrates people is when they think the rules are being applied differently depending on who is speaking. And honestly, that's why this story has gotten so much attention. It's not really about a baseball cap. It's not about the Bible verse. It's not even about Pride Night. It's about religious freedom, workplace expectations, personal expression, and how much control an employer should have over the messages employees display while representing the organization. Now, this rule is pretty consistent from workplace to workplace. The employer always controls what the employee can or cannot say. If I wore a shirt that said, "Fuck Trump" or "Fuck Obama" at my job, I'm going to be looked at sideways. They may even fire me. I am sure HR has a written policy against this, and they may not only reprimand me, but they may even expel me. So this topic isn't new. The baseball field just happened to be where the argument showed up this week. I think most people can understand both sides. A league wants consistency. Players want the freedom to follow their beliefs. The difficult part isn't finding one value worth protecting. The difficult part is figuring out what happens when two values people care about come into conflict at the same time. And that's the debate that's probably going to be around a lot longer than this baseball game. Now, if this is the policy and we need to reach a verdict, I would have to say that they're wrong. Because technically, their policy is saying that you cannot alter the uniform. That's the uniform policy. You don't like it, you can't work for the employer. Hey, this is written in our Constitution. That's just how it works. Employers have certain rights, employees have theirs. So, you could just decide not to be a hero per se. I'm a Christian. I absolutely love God. But to me, technically, the way the laws work, the way they're written, you can't do this. Players have been, they didn't even fine them. Players have been fined $50,000 just for writing something on their cleats in football. You can't do stuff like that. You just can't. So that's totally fine. But here's the other thing. They actually didn't have to wear the caps. They could have just worn regular San Francisco caps. Now, would the LGBTQ community be upset about that? Maybe, but they have that right. So they could have made an equal statement, in my opinion, just by wearing the neutral cap instead of the LGBTQ cap in which they altered. So technically, they just didn't go about it the right way. And now they're being penalized for it. And that's how it goes. All right. Thanks for watching. And yeah, we'll get to this tomorrow.